The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
In a game where Caitlin Clark was getting hacked left and right and the refs did nothing, fans were screaming one thing: do something. And Sophie Cunningham, she understood the assignment.
Sheldon going coast to coast, and here's we got another.
In a moment that's now gone absolutely viral, Sophie Cunningham didn't just send a message to JCS Sheldon. She didn't just send a message to the Connecticut Sun. She sent a message to the entire WNBA: don't mess with Caitlin Clark.
Teams are going to have to think twice about messing with Caitlin Clark again.
And while fans are absolutely losing it over how Caitlin Clark was attacked on the court with no real consequences from the refs, they finally got what they've been begging for: an enforcer to protect her. Someone who's not afraid to step in and send a message. Out of the ashes of a dumpster fire of officiating, a star was born. In one moment, Sophie didn't just defend her teammate. She lit the spark that could change the entire tone of the Fever season. And yeah, it might feel early to say this, but Sophie just became a household name across the sports world.
Like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom.
We're already seeing the impact. Within 48 hours of that game, Sophie's name is everywhere. The clips are viral. The fans are fired up. And the tone has changed, because this is no longer Fever versus the league. It's Caitlin versus the world. And Sophie just became her undisputed bodyguard. And here's the wild part: that one moment could make Sophie millions. No exaggeration. We're already seeing the signs. Let's get into it. But first, like this video. Drop a boxing glove in the comments if you appreciated Sophie stepping up. And subscribe for more WNBA updates.
When they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs.
There's no denying that the Fever's game against the Sun was a new low for the WNBA. The critiques about the officiating have been around forever. Kelsey Plum was literally in tears recently, talking about how she prays for it to get better, but what happened against the Sun made it abundantly clear it's open season on Caitlin Clark, and the refs aren't going to do a thing about it.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
Ooh, and Marina Mabry, I missed that one, Edona.
JCS Sheldon went after the literal face of the league, and then, in the chaos that followed, Marina Mabry body-checked Caitlin to the court. It was like Dana Carrington and Chendi Carter had somehow cloned themselves and re-entered the game as a tag team. And the other angles of the play made it crystal clear: it was even more egregious than it looked in real time.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabry. Boom! I mean, come on.
JC's swipe wasn't just careless, it was targeted. And Marina didn't just bump Caitlin, she sent her flying. This kind of stuff would get flagged instantly in the NBA. But in the W? Apparently, it's just another Tuesday, and I will say, it was a bit disappointing. Even though Lexi got in JC's face a bit, there wasn't a ton of pushback from the Fever on the court, especially from Stephanie White. Now, she absolutely redeemed herself in the press conference, but in the moment, fans were begging for her to go full Bobby Knight and launch a chair, which, let's be honest, would have been an incredible visual. Given that Knight coached Indiana, and before anyone starts with the Caitlin's being soft narrative, just stop.
It made me think if this was LeBron in the NBA, think if this was Steph Curry in the NBA, do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected, just a common technical foul? That would never happen. It would never happen.
There's no way this would happen to Steph or LeBron without consequences. The commentators were shocked that Marina wasn't tossed for the body check. And here's the kicker: Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA right now than Steph or LeBron are to the NBA. That's not a hot take, that's just the reality. We saw what happened when Caitlin missed 5 games.
Even as good as that rating was, Caitlin Clark's good for about 1 million extra viewers.
Ratings didn't just dip, they cratered. Fever games were down over 50%. Entire league-wide interest plummeted. You'd think there'd be a league-wide directive. Give Caitlyn the bubble wrap treatment, Star calls. Real protection. All of it. So yeah, this wasn't just a bad missed call. It was insane treatment of the league's most valuable superstar. A total black eye for the WNBA. And now everyone is ripping the refs, fans, analysts, even former players. It's not just about missed calls, it's about disrespect on a league-wide level.
And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, it's the understatement.
Anyway, even though the Fever were up big and cruising to a win, and Caitlyn had already delivered the highlight of the night with that epic three-pointer and cold-blooded trash talk to the Suns bench, there was still something missing. It didn't feel finished. It didn't feel settled. There was an emptiness, a lack of resolution, like the game was ending but the message hadn't been sent. And then Sophie stepped in.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
With the game in hand, Sophie dropped JC Sheldon with a hard foul and then promptly put her taekwondo training to good use. It was cathartic. Fever fans, WNBA fans, Caitlyn Clark fans, everyone who's been fed up with how Clark's been treated, finally got the pushback they'd been screaming for. But it went deeper than just one play. That wasn't just about JC Sheldon. It felt like Sophie was fighting back for weeks of cheap shots, missed calls, and disrespect. Like she was sending a message on behalf of every fan who's watched the refs look the other way. It wasn't just a foul. It was payback.
And I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody, because it is, if you are watching any of these games, you are seeing that there is a disparity in the way that it's being officiated, and the Indiana Fever are held to a standard that no other team is held to.
And here's where things get really interesting, and why this goes way beyond just one hard foul. What happened against the Sun feels like a turning point for the league. Sure, maybe the WNBA takes a long, hard look at its officiating issues and finally cleans things up, maybe. But the lack of consequences for this, a full-on face swipe followed by a body check on the league's biggest star, was a step too far.
Again, the league's been handed this miracle, this beacon of light, while it was down in some dungeon in the basement on life support, and it was never turned a profit, lost $40 million last year. They get handed this beacon of light, and all these players cannot stand her. They're jealous, the players union. It looks like the whole...
There are two major outcomes from that game, and both are huge. On one hand, you've got Caitlyn Clark fans who are already frustrated. For over a year, they've been belittled by the media, told they weren't real basketball fans, and even called flat-out horrible things, all while they were literally filling arenas and skyrocketing viewership. And now, after watching Caitlyn get raked across the face and body checked to the floor with zero consequences, that frustration has turned into outrage.
And then there's this.
So this is a petition to get Sophie Cunningham removed from the WNBA, where she displayed tonight was disgusting.
There's a point, and a lot of Caitlyn Clark fans have reached it, where it genuinely feels like the league doesn't want to succeed with Caitlyn Clark. And when that happens, something shifts. Fans start rooting for two things at once: Caitlyn Clark to keep dominating, and the league to completely fall apart in every game without her. Because if you're not going to protect her, promote her, or even acknowledge what she's doing for your growth, then why would her fans stick around for anything else? It's a terrible dynamic, one that divides the fan base, isolates the league's biggest star, and damages long-term growth. And then there's this.
The anti-Clark fans, I am seeing them not only celebrate Kiiri Afen in this situation, but say that Sophie Cunningham was at fault for what happened, and she got what she deserved, and saying good job Kiiri Afen.
Now look, you might think this is just internet noise or a silly little petition, and I'll get to Sophie's epic clapback in a minute, because it's hilarious. But let's talk about what's actually happening. There are people out there, and not just trolls, but actual parts of the fandom, who are completely losing it. They are calling for Sophie to be kicked out of the league, they are demanding the WNBA move the All-Star game out of Indianapolis, they are even calling for boycotts. And it's even more. Hilarious when you take a breath and look back just a few months.
We are seeing literal people, not threats of violence, but people encouraging violence against a player. And that's not on. That's not on for nothing. There are people literally out there encouraging violence against Sophie Cunningham. And these are the people that want to say another fan base is the worst fan base in the WNBA, and they're encouraging literal violence against players.
In a preseason game against the Mystics, Clark haters were perfectly fine when Sophie Cunningham got taken to the ground hard. Not only did they defend the tackler, Kiki Fenn, they celebrated it. And some of the loudest voices online were even encouraging more of it.
The kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, it's on site when I see you. Those are actual threats.
This is just my take, but it really feels like we have a league, and a chunk of its fandom, that cannot emotionally handle Caitlin Clark leading the way. And that doesn't just apply to her. It extends to anyone who supports her, plays with her, or defends her on the court. Just look back at what happened after the Sky game. When Angel Reese was fouled by Caitlin, the outrage immediately spilled over to the Fever players. Fans started attacking them too, questioning their toughness, their response, even their character, simply because they didn't retaliate the way some people expected. That's not just sports talk. That's something deeper.